everyone, a little over a month ago I got my AP drawing score back and I somehow scored a 5, and I thought that I could kind of explain my art portfolio, some of my tips and tricks, and then also just like a general tour for you guys. But if you're unfamiliar with AP scores and you're just watching this for fun, AP or Advanced Placement is basically like a non-profit that administers standardized tests for high schoolers looking for like college coursework. This one, you actually just submit a portfolio and then they score it on a scale of 1 through 5 with a couple of components. There's a pretty quick writing section, and then there's a selected work section, which is just like your 5 best pieces, and then there's a portfolio section with a bunch of themed pieces that you make throughout the year. These can include not only like finished pieces but also the process that you use to make them. College Board really likes it if you actually show like the experimentation and the revisions and everything that you made. So the first drawing that you'll be seeing me do in the background is actually a process image for the first piece. But yeah, going right into meanings and stuff for this piece, I would kind of lay this out. This is like the first process image I did, and I left it pretty simple, but then I went back over it later. This was actually a piece that I recreated from last year. We had like this little mini portfolio project in my drawing 2 class. Part of it is just talking about how I'm Indian, right? So like, you know, there's a very prevalent stereotype about Indian people or like Asians in general, like the model minority. So I kind of wanted to model it off of the idea of, oh yeah, she's smart, but she's never gonna be considered beautiful. And to kind of prove my point, I kind of wrote out like this whole graph in a graphing calculator, and then I added the equation to the piece. This is obviously not super noticeable if I didn't point it out to the judges, so I thought that I would have a process piece for this one, specifically relating to the actual graphing calculator thing. I want to avoid yapping about this piece too much or any of the other pieces, so I'm just gonna say like there's some things like plastic surgery marks that are on the drawing, and I just like put them around. I used like a collage with my homework, and I think it was pretty effective. Yeah, this is my first piece, you know, not the best, but I like it. Also, a couple of these pieces I do not have on me right now, and this is one of them, so I can't really give you like an in-depth zoom in, and I can't really do it for this one either. Sorry about that, but this one was a lot of fun too. For this piece, I wanted to explore more about my hair and kind of talking about how growing up with curly hair, or like I guess realizing that it was curly, was so like taboo. Like there's not many people, like direct relatives or like family, who like embraces their curly hair for like what it is. It's usually seen as very messy and everything. So I kind of wanted to play on the idea that it is a bird's nest and contrast it to what is honored in India, which is like the peacock. So it's like, oh, okay, you'll honor the peacock, but you won't honor my hair if it's a bird's nest for the peacock. I don't even know what my thought process was. I don't even know if the judges read that and were like, what is she even on? But I hope it made a little bit of sense. I kind of just played along with the blending of the peacock with my hair and everything, and I think it looked really cool in the finished piece. Obviously is not like a lot of this isn't like a lot of process, but this is what the piece actually turned out looking like. I really like it. You know, there's something wrong about the shoulders and stuff, but it's okay for the most part. This piece is the most chaotic concept I even tried making, and like I knew that it was a bad idea as soon as I started painting the first idea I had, which was basically like painting River Ganga. And I'm not very experienced with landscapes. I don't know why I thought I could make this work. I started out, the buildings looked awesome, and then I kept going and I was like, there's no way I'm doing this. I got lazy. It did not do anything that I wanted it to, but we ball, and then I kind of like revised it completely. I kind of had it like as more of like a reflection piece because I don't know, I just want it to be a little bit more about me because this portfolio is like about my identity and stuff. So I kind of revamped it and everything. I added a picture of like me looking to the side and kind of reflecting on it. I wanted to say kind of that I take a lot of things for granted, especially in like my culture and stuff. I'm always like, oh, okay, I'll learn this language later, I'll learn how to do this tradition later, and then I never end up doing it. So I kind of wanted to put on like that procrastination and also like that inner reflection, because whenever I did go to Ganga that summer, I remember looking at it and I don't know, I was like engrossed in it, and I was like, why do I never pay attention to things like these? They're so beautiful. And I don't know, it just like kind of changed me as a person, so I kind of wanted to add that as one of the pieces for this. I thought it was really fun. I think this process piece is probably the best process piece that I have in my portfolio. I think it encapsulates a lot of stuff, and it's really important to have good process images. I think that's the only reason I scored as high as I did, is because my process images had like pretty much like all of the thoughts that were going through my head. So this is the piece, was like you know, whatever. I actually do not like how this piece turned out, I'm gonna be so honest, but I don't know, some of the people I talk to like it. I don't agree. I don't know, I just feel like there's like so many things that are just wrong about it. I actually hate this piece, but anyways, next. This piece is another one about my hair, and I never thought of my hair as pretty until I straightened it. I grew up thinking I had straight hair, right? Every time I would straighten it, I'd feel like, yeah, this is what my hair is supposed to look like. I don't know why it's so frizzy all the time. And frizzy when you're younger is literally just code word for curly. Like, curly girls like understand. Like, I did not know. So I wanted it to look like me straightening my hair was like enlightening, and I just looked at myself in a completely different light. I don't even know what this effect is called, but growing up I always felt like as soon as I straightened my hair, like I looked so good, and it was like my most confident version of myself. So I really wanted to pay some like homage to that, and at the bottom you'll see me add in a second, I added a piece by James Jean because I was super inspired by the way that he like draws clouds and everything, clouds and smoke and all of these like really detailed parts that I really wanted to include in my drawing. It's a good idea to always source like where you got things, and I also love seeing like where you got your inspiration from. Like, obviously you're not going to come up with everything like in your head, like you need references, you need to source your references, and you also have to source your inspiration if you have any. I know on like a previous piece I had like lyrics on it, so I wrote out like where I got the lyric inspo from. Even though they weren't like the exact lyrics, it's always good to kind of cite your sources. But yeah, I had a lot of reference pictures for this one, and I did not include that many pictures of myself anywhere else, so yeah. But here's the finished piece. My art teacher actually pulled me aside like whenever I was sketching this, and she was like, "Gary, you made the arms so short," and it's like so true. I'm like so scared the arms are gonna look super long, so I always shorten them, and then now they like look like T-Rex arms, and I had to completely change the sketch. And now we're kind of nearing the end of the portfolio. I have, I think, around 3 more pieces that I'd like to show you. It's so humbling to make your friend like stand up and like take a picture of you like holding a cylindrical object just for this drawing. This happened with like the straightener thing too. Like, I was just in the middle of class, I asked my teacher for her hair straightener, and then I held it up just for that reference. It was so embarrassing, but like, you know what, it's an art classroom, no one is gonna judge me, you know. But yeah, this piece was a little bit more about how I felt really isolated from people at a certain point in my life. So I was kind of like comparing it to that of a tiger who usually like doesn't like humans, right? And they usually like travel in packs. Just like this specific tiger, I was not traveling in a pack, I was not traveling with humans. I don't know if that really made sense, but it's like we're finding more comfort in each other, like us as like 2 lone figures who will never truly understand each other because we're different species, than with like other people of our species, if that makes sense. I put me and the tiger in like a public setting, so like a subway in this case, and we were just like kind of standing there like hoping that anyone would like ignore us. I don't know why I'm narrating this as if it's like actually happened to me, but it's like, you know, like how strangers stare at people on like public transit and everything. I was saying like, oh, leave me alone, don't talk to me, even though we're in public, at least I have this tiger to like scare people off. The face looks super wonky in this drawing, but I really like it because I use a lot of like bright Posca pens, and this is one of my last pieces, so whenever I drew it I was like, I need to use like Posca pens a lot more. I don't know, I guess I was in my Posca pen era. This was one of my last pieces. I keep saying that, but like it was, and I remade this reference photo like a bunch of times, so you're gonna really see a journey here. This piece was more about wanting to be white when I was younger, and basically like it features an astronaut, which kind of plays on the whole isolation thing, because astronauts are literally like the loneliest people out there. Like, what do you mean you have to stay in space for like 8 months on a mission by yourself sometimes? Like, that's crazy. But basically I kind of wanted to go for a theme that was like she's catching stars in the sky and collecting them into like a little trash bag, because like she wants them for herself, like kind of like a star catcher, except the stars represented white features. I was really inspired by Your Best American Girl by Mitski. I don't know if I mentioned this in my portfolio because it was like very loosely related, but like it would be titled Not Even a Star, and it's just like kind of playing on that whole metaphor. I had an exploration with this piece. Like, I was gonna do a completely different drawing for it. I was gonna have it where the astronaut was more of like a portrait drawing, because that was kind of the trend of my portfolio. Like, I discussed it with my art teacher and she was like, you should probably get a little bit more variety in there, so I trusted her and I did this, and I really like how it turned out. I actually have a draw with me of this very piece on my channel if you want to check it out. Oh my gosh, my throat is so raspy, I don't know what's wrong with me. And finally, this is the last piece that I submitted. I didn't have a process image for this one or anything because it didn't take me that long, and it's just like, it's not super intricate or anything, but it's basically like me talking to my younger self about like basically like apologies, like, oh, like, you're so pure and innocent, I'm so sorry that like we don't know who we are anymore. And it's like low-key kind of sad, but I was like no thoughts, head empty when I made this. But yeah, that was my general portfolio. I really hope that you enjoyed watching this video. Maybe you learned something or found something interesting. Leave your thoughts down below. I am always open to criticism, and I think that going through this entire process, that is something that you should definitely keep in mind. I think I grew kind of indifferent to a lot of criticism after I took this class, just because I was in an environment with a bunch of very amazing, talented artists as well. So always hearing other people's feedback about the composition, the colors, the proportions, the technicality is always good. It's always good to get other people's opinions about your composition, because then you can make your art even better than you would have initially imagined. Don't try and take a criticism as an insult. It's just guidance for you to like do better too, and that's like my #1 tip for this whole process. But at the end of the day, art is subjective. It cannot be limited to a score of 1 through 5, okay? Somebody could look at this portfolio and think it was flaming garbage, and you know what, that's fine. If art wasn't subjective, I think it would be obsolete. So I hope that just reminds you to never kind of limit to yourself to what you think that other people are expecting of you. Your art is valuable and beautiful in any way that it comes in. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I don't know why that got so deep at the end. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.